So what's new? I've got a plant app. I've started clean shaving rather than using my electric razor.
Have you really?
Yeah. But my eyes were looking old, so I thought I need to do something to get myself a bit younger.
You got clean shaving was the answer.
I've gone clean shave. Bit more of a mature haircut, I think. George said my arms are looking small as well, so...
Did he?
Yeah. But the plant app's good.
Well, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a while. We've had lots on, haven't we?
Yes, yeah. I mean, is it worth doing a slight recap? We thought we'd change up the content ever so slightly in that I think certainly for the next few posts we talk a little bit more business. So a reintroduction to Flex Health. So Flex Health is we are a leading physiotherapy provider.
Yes, we are. National brand now.
We are a national brand, which I'll come on to in a second. But from our
we talk about that?
From our state-of-the-art facility, we're based in Hull. We have a team of...
I need write-ups, count along. 14 or 15.
14
One admin personnel.
Yep. All working from one facility. And yeah, that's us, I guess.
I think, yeah. I think started as a two-man band in the back of a shoe cupboard in JD Gym.
Me and thee.
And we've just hired our old boss from our Hull City days, who's come in to be the clinical lead.
Who I was thinking we should get on one of these going forwards. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
I'm sure if he's watching this, he'll be very nervous now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
having Stu on board, unbelievable physio.
Yes, absolutely.
Best physio I've ever certainly worked with.
Yeah.
And now steering the clinical arm of the Flex Health Clinic.
Yeah. So we started in 2015. So we've now been going nearly 9 years. Actually, it's our birthday in September.
9 years, 15th of September.
I always think it's the 1st of September, but...
Yeah, I probably get confused with the year, 2015.
So yeah, it's been quite the journey. I think a lot of our followers, it seems to be our physios kind of moving through a similar journey of genuinely why I want to talk a little bit more about the trials and tribulations of growing over the last 9 years, as I don't think physios are completely honest. Especially gurus and business gurus out there are particularly honest about actually what it takes to run and grow a physiotherapy business, are they?
I think any health and fitness.
Yeah.
It's a service industry.
It's so wanky, isn't it?
Absolutely. A lot of man hours. Can't get away from it.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially in the early days. You are the face of it. You are the captain, the accountant, the feed treater, everything.
Yeah. The booper inputter.
And there's no shortcut.
No, there isn't. So don't let anybody fool you that there is. But yes, one of the reasons we've been so quiet is since the turn of the year, we've been working on a slightly separate side project, which has definitely not become now a side project. It's very much growing into our main project, which is occupational health. And we have not seen growth like it, have we really? It's quite scary.
Yeah.
So with that, we now have a national occupational health brand. I won't bore you with the details of what that is because...
But it is interesting because it's an area that since the increased sort of, I'll say responsibility, but powers bestowed upon physios, they are recognised as being a qualified medical profession that can sign fit notes. They do have their part to play with maintaining healthy workforces and making sure people who are unable to work get the support that they need. So it is relevant. It's an industry that is growing, and it's an industry that I'm quite excited to see where it leads for physios.
That is valid, actually. Yes, absolutely. It's
boring details.
Yeah, sorry. I'll take that back.
You know what it's on about.
Yeah.
I'm on the hire for a new business partner. Send your applications, alex@flex-health.co.uk.
Send offers my way. But yeah, so all in all, to present day, we've got a few new hires coming in over the next few months. So we're kind of looking at about the 30 mark, aren't we, across both companies? Yeah. Which obviously takes its toll on, growing and managing a workforce and trying to
growing
keep
and
everyone
adapting as an individual.
Yeah, soul searching.
Oh,
so that's kind of a bit of a snapshot of why we've been so quiet. We have always had on the back burner that we wanted to come back to it because we do genuinely enjoy it, but kind of giving a slightly different twist and take on. We still want to stay very clinical. I think that's important for us, but equally talk about a bit more about the business side of things. You've got absolutely no idea I was going to say that, did you?
No.
Just plays into the narrative that I do everything, so it's fine.
Biting. You've done nothing but play shop, setting up this studio. I've been running around like a blue-ass fly all morning.
Well, me and Charles have been working hard.
Yeah, Charles.
So I think the first question is going back to the early days, how we started.
How we started.
Why did we start?
Came up with a concept on a bus, travelling to QPR, I think, or Watford.
I think it was Ipswich.
Ipswich? You reckon? Well, it's on me. I think it's QPR.
Okay.
Because there's a picture of you with fangs.
Yeah, but how does that mean that we went to QPR over Ipswich?
Because I think I put it on Instagram where we were travelling to.
Right,
and that's,
okay.
That's when we had the conversation. Johnny was sat next to us, and Ali. There the idea was born.
And I guess why? So why did we do it?
Why did we do it? I think at first it was a little sad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit of cash. Football don't pay the greatest at times. So we just set it up as a part-time venture. We managed to negotiate a relatively cheap introductory rate at JD Gym, was where we set. And the startup costs were a few bits of massage wax, one treatment table,
Gumtree desk.
Oh, Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. That didn't exist. That didn't exist then.
Did it not?
No. That's how long ago it was.
Our world. Decorated it ourselves.
Yeah.
Laid the floor myself.
You did. I didn't do that yet.
And then that was it. And then, with the concepts and the way that we work, using the sports medicine model of
being intensive.
Yeah, intensive rehab. So it is using that intensive model, but it's knowing that the research is there to support that we do know either group-based rehab or supervised rehab is superior. It is. We know that, my big thing is, 10% is retained in that appointment. So if you're not going to see them again for so long, they're not going to return the education, which is a huge part. You're not going to get that buy-in. They're not going to self-reflect. So I need to do X to get Y.
Yeah.
So unless you're there with them to repeat, keep drip feeding in the education to why we're doing it. But also, we know people don't do their exercises. Most physio, you out there, if you go see a physio, you've made a decision to go see a physio. You've made that clinical decision. So I'm in pain. I want it to stop.
Yep.
So, and ultimately, if it's private, there's a financial aspect to it. You've made that final decision that I want to pay money to sort this out. So you're in that zone where you are going to go full guns blazing. You're probably expecting the physio to fix it there and then.
Yep.
Don't work.
Yep.
We can numb pain, we can do things to modify symptoms ever so slightly and modify X, Y, and Z. But ultimately, it's going to be 9 times out of 10 engaging in rehab, getting a little bit stronger, getting more comfortable, and just allowing your body to move. But ultimately, after 3 days, you probably think, I'm not going to do it again. And I'm not going to see him for another 2 weeks, so I'll make sure I do it the day before.
Yeah.
Typical pattern. So we know...
Momentum starts to slow, doesn't it?
Exactly. And we started seeing good results by using the exact same methods that we used to treat professional athletes with.
Because for those who don't know, professional sport, professional football particularly, is we work with the same athletes every day.
Yeah.
For hours on end.
And just so it's not a like for like, I'm not expecting Joe Public to come in every day.
No.
But I'm expecting at least 2 times a week. Engagement, back then we didn't have some of the tools that we have now. So I would give them my personal number and I would have 2-way conversations just to make sure that they know they can outreach to me.
Lots of check-ins,
lots of touch points, access to me as a physio. So 1, they know they're being looked after.
Yep.
2, if it's new to them, that we've maybe pushed them a little bit too hard, they have a bit of a flare-up, we can dampen that down straight away and advise them what to do. But ultimately, it's just to keep them accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the basis of intense rehab. It keeps them accountable. It's why the app works online.
Yeah.
Some of the check-ins I've had over the last few weeks, they're feeding back to me that.
Yeah.
So when I went away, so I had a holiday, treat myself. I handed a few patients over. We had a few technical issues. And the app went down for 10 days.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the feedback for me was that scuppered their rehab. Because they didn't have that, Lord of the Rings eye on them.
Yeah.
Is it Sauron?
Sauron.
You're a hobbit, you'd know. So they didn't have that, the accountability dropped because they knew that I couldn't see them engaging. They didn't have direct video access and the technical details of each exercise to fall back on, which again ties back to traditional physio. You get left with a bit of paper that doesn't really explain what you need to do.
Still lots of you out there still doing that.
So again, whether you're doing it virtually via touch points and using the health and fitness PT model, or whether you're using face-to-face intensive rehab, you're just keeping people accountable. To break the back of the rehab where they're ideally 60 to 80% back to, full participation or whatever you're doing, whatever goals you have, you're bordering that they're there. They can then do the extra 50. They've got the knowledge, the tools, the experience to do the rest on their own. I just feel sometimes if you don't give them that opportunity.
Well, I mean, it's no different to, I've gone on a slight tangent, but that's good. Because, I remember when I worked with a diet coach, Mr. Meeks. Ultimately, you're right. I'd made the commitment. I knew how much it was going to be a month, but ultimately, I wanted to be guided and it wasn't necessarily me wanting that like one-to-one communication all the time. I just wanted to know what I was doing week on week. That was it.
I told you what the issue was. You're a grazer.
And look at me now.
Told you a grazer.
And look at me now.
But you still paid him every month. But he kept you accountable.
Yeah, it did. Exactly that.
Because I wasn't there telling you. I should have followed you around.
I wasn't listening to you.
Thompson Gazelle.
Love the biscuit.
On the Serengeti of
that
biscuits.
Was pre-coffee. That's probably why.
Pre-coffee.
Yeah.
Digestive,
But I think kind of coming back to the why we started, and I think we were always very clear in our mission statement, weren't we? In that it was that whether we've written it down or not, it was that we knew what we wanted, and intensive rehab. We looked at what football was doing, and we looked at the kind of standard physiotherapy model, and they were worlds apart, weren't they? So we wanted to kind of go, right, well, we want to set our sights on, setting up as a football model as close to as possible, and then delivering that care.
Yeah, and on that, it was not... The focal point, the centre wasn't how often they're coming. It's being, more gym focused and more exercise led and more rehab led.
Not just walk into a physio room.
Yeah, it's not just lie down in there for an hour, a bit of ultrasound, bit of massage, right, come back next week. It's more, right, okay, acute stage, let's do some acute management, let's do that properly. And then, as soon as we can get you in the gym, get you moving, it's, being there, watching them do it, making sure everything's correct. But as I said before, people don't do it unless they're being watched.
No,
majority of people. And, it is a case of just being honest and open. This is what it's going to cost. This is how we get good results. This is our model. This is what works.
Which physios are petrified of, aren't they? They're petrified about talking about costing that initial assessment.
And again, I was. It takes a long time because I think you need results first. You need to back yourself that I can get this pair. ACL's typical. I know I can get an ACL back, playing sport, doing what they want to do, living an active lifestyle. Been there, done it, hundreds of times. And it's having that confidence of knowing how you do that. And I've seen it on both sides, and I've seen it on the ones that do drop off, the ones that hit the ground running for the first 6 weeks. Life gets in the way. They go back to work. They've got family stress. They've got other things going on where physio becomes less of a priority because they're back walking. They've got okay strength. But when you then break that down, you actually... Again, it comes back to why you have to be objective, highlighting to someone, right, you think you're strong. I can show you now just from circumference measuring that your unaffected side is getting bigger compared to your other one, which means you're favouring that side. Right, so basically they've got back to everyday life. That physio is becoming less of a priority because they're able to do bits and bobs. I was the same. My injury, I had bad knee injury as a kid. I got back playing too quick. Looking back at my physio and the treatment I got, there was nothing objective. There was no objective markers. It was, can you run? Yeah. Does it give way when you run? No. Can you do a sidestep? Yeah. And I got to 26 and just had a spaghetti leg and a decent leg. And that's what happens, and it's one of them, it's not to discredit anything. You can get back playing sport with discrepancies and weaknesses, but you just open yourself up to more risk and then you pay the price later down the line. Because you've got a leg that don't work, you don't trust, you get to an age where everything will be led with the opposite side. You won't trust yourself to go down on that one leg when you're going downstairs or going up with that leg first when you're going upstairs. And
if you're thinking about setting up a physio clinic, what would be our 3 sort of key points to consider in the build up to setting up on your own?
So the first point is keep your overheads low.
Yep.
You don't want to be chasing your tail from the get go. So that means things like negotiating.
Because we're going through this with Sam, aren't we? Because he's obviously setting up in Sheffield come the new year.
Yep. Second thing would be don't interrupt your business partner when he's talking. Number one, keep your overheads low. You don't want to be chasing your tail in them early stages. So that's doing things like finding your location, but then negotiating, incremented rent increases, or having some structure in place where the busier you get, the rent goes up and stuff like that. Making sure you don't need to buy everything new. You can get a second-hand treatment table. No. This is all
still
keeping.
Number one.
Keeping overheads low. Making sure you are just budgeting everything.
Yep.
You don't need a brand new bed. You don't need a brand new plinth. You don't need brand new office furniture.
No.
You can decorate yourself.
Yep.
Just making sure that you are not spending loads to set for your setup costs. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you go first. I've got the third one.
Okay. So number two would be prepared to do things ultimately for free. So getting yourself out there, running clubs, rugby clubs, volunteering at events. You're just trying to build a brand, aren't you? Trying to build a presence.
Yeah.
Be prepared. I mean, looking back at what we used to do, we used to treat a load of people for free, actually, didn't we? On the understanding that we might get things in return. So, like you say, turn up to
so it's just
a run club.
Yeah, it's
turn up to a football game, charity events, those sorts of things. There's lots of people, lots of word of mouth, because remember that word of mouth is your most powerful form of referral. So that'd probably be number two.
Yeah, and just to clarify that, it's not scheduling appointments within your clinical time and doing that for free. It's going to the external things, like Matt said, a running club, an organised park run or charity run, an organised football game where there's a risk of someone having an injury. Runners always have historic injuries, so it's just being that expert in that field and just giving them 10, 15 minutes of an assessment. Here's what I think is wrong. Do you want to come see me in clinic?
Yeah. Number three?
And number three is knowing your own personal situation and what you can afford to live on. So ultimately, you know your current wages, your current expenses and what you need as a base to live on. And you then have to counterbalance that between either slowly reducing your working hours in your current either NHS role or sports club and things like that, and understanding how busy you are actually getting as a private clinic, because there will be carryover. There will be times when it starts to build up and you start asking yourself some questions, but it's having a number in your head of how many hours equates to my current livable expense that I can live on and take that risk to jump in, because until you do jump in full time, it's always going to be part-time.
Absolutely.
Because what tends to happen is you start resenting it. If you start doing part-time work for anything longer than a couple of years, I'd say, you do start resenting it, because you'll start making a little bit more progress in your NHS job. It makes it harder and harder to leave. You get more responsibilities, mortgage, house, wife, husband, kids. So what you need to live goes up and up and up. So you just need to have a number in your head of what you can afford to live on to take that plunge to go full-time, because you'll never expand into a full-time clinic without knowing that.
No, absolutely not. And again, prime example of that was, when you stepped away, well, in a lot of respects, when we both stepped away from our own full-time jobs into running this, we were on minimum wage. You before I, you stepped away about 9 months before I did, I think.
I think it was 14.
Was it?
I'm begging you by the end, because I rammed.
14 months. But ultimately, we both made the decision to say, what can we live on? What can we afford? And paid ourselves the most of basic salaries to ensure that we could grow into what we made that conscious decision to know what our goal was, which was to have a state-of-the-art clinic, and we squirreled away everything.
Well, in that first interim period, I think it was the first 12 out of them 14 months, so I left, I think we made the decision to pay me £650.
And I took nothing.
You took nothing.
for free.
You were still working. You were still doing the hours after Hull City. And yeah, so that was 12 months of, and I had a house at that stage, you know, so I had to budget, I had to live off that. And I know it was 9 years ago, but inflation's not gone up that much.
No, absolutely not.
Still £650 even back then wasn't a lot of money to live on.
Yeah. I remember when I stepped away from my employment, I did get a bit of I'd saved a load of holidays up so I could then get paid out for them from my old employer. So it allowed me to work. I don't think I then took a wage. I think I left in May, and I don't think I actually started taking any money from this place until the October, because I used that money up again to ensure that we could continue to expand and grow. So it's just things to consider, isn't it?
That's what people don't see.
Yeah,
absolutely. People don't see. There's always going to be a risk. If you are getting into a business, no matter what area it is, there has to be an element of risk.
Yep.
And the thing for us is we risked, at that stage, a relatively secure job.
Absolutely.
We was in the academy. We was part of the process that took it from Cat 3 to Cat 2. If you do get yourself into an academy sporting club, it's a relatively secure job.
Yeah.
And again, you can progress within that. We were paid relatively well. When you work out the hours, it does work out to minimum wage because you do a lot of unpaid hours in sport.
Salary-wise, it was all right, wasn't it?
Which probably prepped us quite well.
Yeah.
Because we'd already been used to doing the amount of silly hours for no extra remuneration.
Nice.
I got the word right that time. Percentile. But yeah, we covered the bases there. 3 most important, keep your overhead low. Be willing to do the extra graft for free. Turn up to things on your weekend in your spare time to get your name out there. And number 3, have a value in your head of when you can afford to take that plunge and take that risk, and whether that's what you want. Do you want it to be a side earner that pays for your holidays and a few beers on a weekend, or do you want it to be your main source of income and get into the world of business?
Nice. I've got a question just to answer that. So you said that you started nine years ago. It's been a long time, a long journey. You've gone through a lot of stuff. But if you could personally give yourself advice, if you could speak to that version of yourself 9 years ago, what kind of things would you tell them?
Don't develop an app.
Mine would be, I've always been guilty of running before I can walk. And I think
I'll second he is great at that.
I think I went into it with the intention of thinking that it would grow a lot faster than it has. And what everybody sees now, and I know, and there's a lot of podcasts around this at the minute, but it is true, is that it takes a long time to build a reserve up to then you become actually recognised. But we've been doing this for a long time.
Feels it as well.
A long time. So what you see right now is, 9 years worth of all of our lives, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. That'd be mine.
And I think for me, bit waffly for me, this one, but it's enjoy the early stages. Like if I look back now, if I think about the times we've had, like them first days, like I remember finishing uni at 7 o'clock in Salford, by the way, from Hull, meeting you, renting a van, driving to Rochdale to meet some contact we met off eBay. Eddie, whose name definitely wasn't Eddie.
No.
We got a lot of second-hand gym gear. And
we were buzzing that, weren't we?
Oh, we were buzzing. And I remember, so we'd managed to locate this and source it 11:30 at night. Yeah. It was then Eddie's cultural tradition to have a curry and a drink to cement the deal.
Yeah.
So Eddie took us to a curry house in Rochdale at about 11:45. Yeah. But you look back and, drove back, unloaded it.
Yeah, about 1 a.m.
at the clinic, and then went home.
Yeah. And then we were back in work.
Yeah.
For 8.
And then first days of moving from our JD base to the university where we set up our first proper clinic, we just...
And I think it's
just
sad.
Take the time to look and reflect on what you've done.
Because it's sad because we look back now and we just didn't appreciate just how good that was.
Yeah.
And
smaller team, you're still in the trenches, you're still very clinical compared to what we are now.
Yeah.
You're still having that interaction on a day-to-day with patients and staff alike. I was thinking about the difference that we are now compared, we had all our physios. We didn't even think about getting an admin team.
Nah.
So our physios were expected to treat do the admin, take the payments, make the bookings, man the debt. And it's one of them, but we did the same.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
seen us do it and they did it. And,
Yeah.
you know, we've got staff that have been with us for years. We've got Sam that's now going into business with us. We've got a staff member that I'm very excited is coming back.
Yeah.
I won't announce her yet, but she'll know. She's getting a shout out here, a little plug.
Yeah.
You know, Alex Hastie's been with us for nigh on, 8 years? You know, Kate Holdridge now, Lisa, all coming up to 5-6 years. And yeah, it's a bit waffly, but I think it would just be take time to reflect
definitely.
and enjoy.
Because
take,
those
take
things,
time to enjoy what you're doing.
I suppose what you're trying to say is those things only happen the once.
Yeah.
So try and enjoy it when you get that first buzz, because it is a buzz. Like,
that moment when we first moved into the uni, 2017. Never be beaten that.
No, never.
Never be beaten. We had the floor laid, all decorated.
Alter G had just gone in.
3 treatment rooms built and an Alter G gone in.
Oh, it was mad,
and that was
mate.
it. And you look back now, you compare it to what we got now. It was chalk and cheese. It was spit and sawdust. But it's brilliant.
It was. Nice question, Charles.
Wow.
Took me off guard there.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here, Charles.
Yeah, good.